outside of this show, I have a few other podcasts I do. Unlike this show, those other podcasts are scripted fiction. Two of those shows kind of fall into the nebulous genre of weird fiction. There's Welcome to Night Vale as, continuity and character growth, but there are, sorry, there's Welcome to Night Vale, which has continuity and character growth, and there are larger story arcs to contend with, but for the most part, any single episode is its own thing. Some episodes lean more towards twisted, dry comedy, some lean more towards straight up horror. Another show I write is Within the Wires, where each 10-episode season takes the form of found audio. There's a story arc for each season, but for the most part, it's about immersion into a different world, whether it's done via relaxation tapes, museum audio guides, or even a leadership seminar. The narrative is important, sure, but it's more about the immersion, the characters, and the vibe. Last year, I worked on a new scripted fiction show called Unlicensed. Unlicensed is a straight up mystery. And let me tell you that mysteries are fucking hard to write because you have to land every single plot element. By the end of the show, any question you have asked needs to be not only answered, but answered acceptably, like satisfactorily. Who was the killer? Why did they do it? How did they do it? And it needs to be a surprise when it's revealed. After season one of Unlicensed came out, I was super relieved to see that reviews from mystery lovers were positive, that we had successfully wrapped up a 12-episode mystery. But holy crap, it was difficult. And as we work on the second season, I find myself once again in the weeds of plot mechanics and questions about why and what leads to what. And I miss getting to write Welcome to Night Vale when I'm doing Unlicensed, because in Night Vale, I can just play with new characters, add in little stories that lead nowhere, but give it all a bit of color and fun. And with Night Vale, I know I will never have to explain why is this town the way it is. I don't know, man. It just is, and I think that's fun. Would a strict mystery lover and aficionado of tightly constructed plots enjoy Welcome to Night Vale or even the immersive meandering of Within the Wires? Maybe, but neither of those two shows are working hard at tying everything together with a neat little bow. Much of the criticism of Damian Rugna's 2017 horror film Terrified focuses on the way the film uses its central mystery not as a thing to solve, but as a jumping off point for scares, freaky shit, some like grand philosophical questions, and just an overall spooky ass vibe. But it never ever really explains what or why or really even how the monsters are doing whatever it is that they are doing. And I think that's the point. As Joseph Fink and I have written many times in Welcome to Night Vale, not everyone gets to know everything about everybody. It just is. Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
What is your favorite mystery? I mean, it can be real, nonfiction or fiction, solved or unsolved. Like, do you have a
Favorite
mystery
mystery.
that you
Oh
think about?
gosh. Oh dear.
A better version of the question is, what's your favorite James Patterson novel?
Okay,
I'm just
that's
kidding.
much easier. No, I read what was it? I read Rebecca last
Mm,
year, and I had seen the film, but I was unprepared for this novel. Like the first chapter alone is literary perfection. Like
hmm
like I have returned to Mandalay, or like in my dreams I can see like all that, but it is so sexy, moody, elegant, dark, queer. Yeah, I was literally floored. Like every single moment I was reading that novel, I was like cherishing each sentence.
hmm that's a great one. I still have not read Rebecca, and I would like to read that
Oof,
book.
it is delightful, but
Yeah.
and it's also queer as fuck.
Awesome. Awesome. I like all check, check, and check. So
Yeah, and I won't
Cecil,
say any
oh,
more.
thank you. Uh Cecil, once again, I have failed to get us a guest for our show, but I did find us an actor, a producer, a horror lover, a drag performer, and now a dear, dear friend back for her second time on the show with us. I found us a Jen Brown. Hi, Jen. Uh,
Oh my gosh.
Welcome back to it.
I
Welcome,
I
welcome
I
back.
am so excited to be back. I was honestly like maybe not even like a few weeks ago. Cuz I still listen to the podcast when it's a movie that I like have seen or
Uh-huh.
want to see and it lines up. I'm like, "Oh yeah, let's check it
Uh-huh.
out." by the way, John Waters informed like the majority of why I am who I am. So
Same girl.
I
Same.
very much enjoyed the Serial Mom episode. But I was just thinking about how much I'm like, I should message them. I really miss being on the show. And then, huzzah, I got an email and I was like, oh, joy.
I like it's really fun having guests back on the show, not only because it's people we like talking to, but it's also sort of fun to have a variety of movies that they're gonna have to contend with. And so the last time you were on was Anaconda, which was a movie about Paraguay Paul. So we learned a
my
little bit
gosh.
about Paraguay, and now
and
we get to
J-Lo
learn about...
and J-Lo and her giant snake.
Yep. So we're staying in South America with with Terrified in Buenos Aires. So
But very
Yes,
different vibes.
Very similar movies.
yep.
Very similar movies.
Oh man.
I
Only
was
slightly less CGI.
just a little bit. I was very, very glad when Terrified was mentioned, because this is one of the scariest movies I have seen in so long when I saw it. And it still was scary on the second watch, or it's probably my third watch. Because usually I'll watch something if I really love it, and then I'll force at least one other person to watch it. So I'm pretty sure this is like my third go through Terrified. But oh my, just chilling. Like, it's hard to get me. It's very hard to get me. I watch so much horror, and jump scares don't really get me. It's got to be a really good one. And the amount of times that watching this the like third time that I went, oh, holy fucking shit. Ah! Like, screamed because I completely forgot about something. Oh,
I love it.
It's so good.
Before we started recording, you said you're like, oh wait, I gotta get my notes. And then you pulled up your notes and you literally said it's just like, oh fuck. Arg. Ah. That's I think that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been
like
doing
one descriptive word, like double demon or double person or something, and it's like, oh right.
We've been doing this show for 3.5 years, and it kind of started as like a fun way to, Cecil and I do a show together, but also like for me to get more into horror movies. Like I probably this is episode 199 plus the 3 dozen shows we've done for Patreon, over 200 movies, 250 movies, plus whatever I've watched in extracurricular activity in that time. And I think prior to us doing this, I'd maybe seen like 20 horror movies in my life. And so it's been really fun, and I've gotten really excited about horror movies. I really love them. This podcast has really gotten me into it. But I thought I had my big boy pants on, but this movie scared the living shit out of me. I thought, oh, I'm so good at this. I'm real good at horror now. And then I was watching this last night. I waited till after dinner and a phone call with a friend, and it's like 10 o'clock, and I'm watching this movie. I'm like, no, I can't watch. I really wanted to like get up early and watch it in the morning so I could be in the daytime. And I was like, nope, got to do this now. Scary. Scary as shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
like
hearing that, because this is so scary that it scares people who love horror movies. So like, I am hardened. this movie has gotten me every time I've watched it.
Hardened horror maven. You're like,
I
nothing scares me.
Seriously, I can watch some very violent, like Martyrs doesn't upset me. And like, that's rough. Oh, hold on, my dog. It's okay, baby.
There is no dog.
I don't know if y'all probably can't hear her, but I can hear her.
Well, let's start at the beginning of Terrified. It's we've got Clara.
Yeah.
And she is hunched over her kitchen sink, and she is staring down into the sink drain. We get right into this shit. We are not lingering. There's not a lot of establishing. She is just staring down into the sink drain. There is bubbling, a big like soap bubble kind of pulsing like it's breathing, and there are like
Yeah.
voices coming out of that thing.
Oh my God, the sound design of this movie is so intense. Because it's all
Oh.
like, I thought I heard something. Wait, did I? Is that radio static? Is that a but what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's going. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is this opening sequence of just like a because listen, who hasn't stared into their like plumbing and just been like, is there something evil down there?
Yeah. I mean, there is something evil down there. They're called cockroaches because that's how
Ugh.
they climb up and get into your house. Is they climb up through the drains if you don't cover them at night.
Oh,
Ugh.
yuck.
That that also seems to be how the monsters in this movie get in. Like it's like quickly referenced late in the movie, like tap water. I think they get in through tap water. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Well, we'll just leave it at that. It sounds good.
My theory is that these monsters are actually contractors and they're just trying to like they're like trying to do a home reno show, like a renovation show, but they just don't have the owner's permission. So
Uh-huh.
like, we're just gonna move your bed. We're just gonna
Mhm.
redo some of the plumbing down here, if that's okay, at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I like that we installed these new kitchen cabinets for you. I don't even see them there. Oh, you have to stand 2 feet to the left. Do you see them now?
Yeah.
Oh, I do
Like,
see them.
this looks like shit. Wait, stand over here. Oh, that's gorgeous. I like that color.
See, okay, that is a very effective way to use a very terrifying plot device in this
Mhm.
movie. If I could just be in my house and someone be like, "Oh, it's so dirty in here," and be like, "Oh, no, no, no." Stand 4 feet over there and look into this corner, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's so clean."
Yep.
You
That
really
would
did
be
it. You did this. This is
be
gorgeous.
incredible.
Like just you have a series of circles taped around the floor of your house. You're like, these are the only places guests can sit or stand.
Viewpoints.
Viewpoints.
Like when you go to a memorial or something, they're like, for the best view, and you put the quarter into like the little eye like
Uh-huh.
telescopes. They're like, no, just view my house from here. I swear to God, my
Oh,
kitchen is clean.
oh
Mhm.
my God, Cecil, you said memorial, and I realize you mean like a like statue, but my brain immediately went to funeral.
Oh, sure.
Like when you're watching a funeral with binoculars.
With viewfinders all around
Like
the funeral.
You think I was like, oh wait.
Uh-huh.
now we know what you do in your spare time, Jen.
That's
You
right.
you just creep on
Well,
funerals.
I mean, hey, I'm half Mexican. I spent a lot of time at memorials and rosaries, and like Catholic Mexican funerals are days and days of ritual.
Mhm.
So I hear memorial and I'm like immediately like, oh, someone's dead.
So Juan, Clara's husband, arrives home, and I love this intro of Juan. He's like, he's like, "Where's dinner?" And she said, we can DoorDash that shit
Oh
because
my God.
some freaky ass stuff has been going on." But then Juan says, "Hey, you remember that dog we ran over the other day?" And we were like, "That thing totally died. He's alive. He's doing great. Isn't that awesome?"
Isn't that weird? That's
Yeah.
weird.
That is 100%. I mean, the sink is already, you're like,
Hmm.
okay, shit's not cool. Like, there's something going on. But then when he casually drops, like, the pedal's okay, it's like, oh,
Dog
no.
resurrection.
Oh,
Just not a
shit.
normal Tuesday. I appreciate that he is equal parts like believing but skeptical. Like he's not
Mm.
dismissive of Clara.
Hmm.
Like he's like, okay, that's weird. What were the voices saying? Are you sure? But he's not like, nuts. Like, oh, you're just here, take a Valium and go to bed. Like, which I think is like really important as we watch all these horror movies. It's really important when somebody describes spooky ass shit going on in your house, especially, just believe them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a
absolutely.
It's my favorite thing about the movie Poltergeist, that this 40 some odd year old movie, the husband's like, "Oh, really? All right, well, let's investigate." I'm like, "Yeah, totally."
You gotta buy in. You gotta
Yeah.
buy in.
Yeah.
And I think having just watched, and we won't get into this because we didn't do this movie, but Damien Rugna's recent film, When Evil Lurks, it has kind of some very similar elements to Terrified. But one of the things that I will say that's really interesting about both is there's a credulousness, right? Like there's a sense of supernatural shit is happening, and the people in the town are like, of course it is. When Evil Lurks, way more so. Way more so. It's just like, yes, supernatural shit. We're not. It's like Night Vale, right? Like it's just weird shit
Mhm.
happens, and that's the world we live in. But this one too, like the fact that we immediately have we have a police commissioner, which we'll meet shortly, that is like, yeah, I am hiring. I'm hiring ghost hunters to look into this. It's really amazing. Okay, so the voices said they're gonna kill Clara. Title
Ugh.
card.
Ugh.
And then it's late at night. Clara wakes up and goes to the bathroom,
Mm-mm.
and Juan hears weird thumping, and he thinks it's his neighbor Walter, who is like, that dude is doing reno on his house at 5 in the morning every fucking day, banging on the wall, goes outside, walks around to the front of Walter's house, hits the intercom button. It picks up.
No, no, this is no, hard no. I was like, that is not a person. That is not a person inside that thing. And it's like this, like it's like so like, hello, hey, pick up your phone. I was like, that is a motherfucking gremlin in that house right now.
It's like
Answering.
it's very similar to like Billy from Black Christmas, like
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, did I just hear something? It's
Whatever is talking has tentacles for a face.
Yeah.
Is basically it.
That's it.
Ugh.
But yeah, Walter's not responding on the intercom, so Juan goes back in and then realizes, you know what? I think the sound is coming from the bathroom, and
That is
Clara's not back.
Oh.
that is ugh. I knew that sound was coming from inside the house.
Yeah,
Yep.
you kind of thought, right?
The minute it started, and the dread that you have in your chest through the entire time that the scene is taking place, because you know he's going to discover his wife something terrible. You just know it.
Yeah.
You just know it.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought it might be Claire. Like because I didn't know anything about this film. And you know, the movie did a really good job of like kind of hiding what the scare was. And I was like, I think Claire is haunted. I think the haunt is coming from inside your wife.
So wait, was this your first time seeing this one?
My first time, yeah.
Same here, yeah.
So I was going in totally cold. I was like, I know it takes place in Buenos Aires, and that's about all I got. So I was really delighted. I didn't know if it was monsters or people or serial kill. Like I didn't know anything.
It's so that feeling. I remember the first time I went into this going blind and was just like, and there are things, because it's been a while since I saw this movie. So I saw when it came out like twice, but then not since then. And oh, sorry, my brain just farted. It's been a while since I saw this movie, but watching it again, I had kind of forgotten a few things because it had been a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I'm like, oh, wait. And the thumping, and I'm like, oh, no, that's right. Oh, no. So I was like remembering things like milliseconds before they would happen.
Yeah.
Like the boy, I
Oh, oof.
forgot. And then I was like, that's this movie.
Yeah.
I was terrified of seeing it again once I remembered what movie I was rewatching. It's so good.
This movie definitely falls into the, like, when you think about like the kind of the metaphor of the sub genre of horror. There's the roller coaster movie, which is on a tight track of plot. Like we're going from this to this to this. This one is a haunted house movie, right? You're going from room to room, and in each room it doesn't even have to be connected to the room prior. Like why the boy comes back, crawls out of the grave, shows up at mom's house, does not seem to be connected at all to whatever
The water.
the
Totally,
the water.
but like
he drank the water right before he walked into the street,
and so
after being yelled at, and he was drinking the water from the house. That
And
was something I
creepy
noticed as
creepy
well.
Walter's like, don't drink that, get away from here,
Yeah,
kid.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that is one of the most like, like
Yeah.
Hereditary. Like I was like, what?
Well, inside the bathroom, Clara technically is in the shower.
Uh-huh.
She is not taking a shower.
She's above the shower.
She is above the shower, being slammed back and forth by an invisible force, wall to wall. All of the tiles are just covered in blood and smudges, and she is definitely dead.
I was
Thank you.
unprepared.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I was because everything in this movie up till now has been like creepy, eerie. And then it's like the guy's like, "Hey, Clara, what's up? You're gonna, oh my God."
Yep.
Just like boom, full like, and it's very it's not it's not shot in like creepy, shadowy. It's just like almost like crime scene realness.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a great effect. It looks incredible. It looks, I mean, it's obviously, they're using some kind of green screen or whatever to put this here, but it doesn't feel, it feels weirdly practical.
It does.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting. And of course, like Juan is like, what is happening? Please stop, stop, stop. Cut
Yeah.
to Juan is at what I think is what I thought originally was a police station, but by the end of the movie, I realized he's in like a monitored psychiatric ward somewhere.
Makes
And
sense.
there is a panel of people who I thought were police detectives, but as we learn later, that's a set of like paranormal researchers.
I love that so much. I
Mhm.
love that, like, because you're like, oh, this is gonna be the typical thing of like the cops not believing,
Yeah.
and that these paranormal investigators are like, actually, let's take the movie this way, and I was like, yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, again, it's like when creepy shit is going down, it's so amazing to have characters that are like, we believe you.
Yeah.
We don't have answers, but we think we believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes as a writer, it makes it really it makes it a lot harder but more rewarding if you can do it, if you can make your protagonists stronger by having them believe each other and work together. It just means that the antagonizing force has to be even more outrageous or more whatever. And so, yeah, I think it makes a richer story when you have people working together against a greater force, because otherwise you just have scared scream queens running through the woods and just getting stabbed by a one-dimensional axe wielding person, which is fun, but it's just a
I
different
was
thing.
gonna say.
I'm not against that. I'm just saying it's a different level of difficulty.
Now,
Yeah.
put a pin in
Yeah.
that. By the time we get to Act 3, are they working together? Are they?
There's some
I'm
weird
like,
choices made.
yeah. I was like, by the time we get to Death Neighborhood, in which every fucking house is haunted through the plumbing of
Uh-huh.
this, demon renovation company, I was like, you guys, you're like two doors apart from each other. Just like tin cans on a string. I don't
Yeah.
know, something. Every hour on the hour, just walk outside your door, check in.
Yeah.
But so far, they seem very competent.
So far. They tell Juan, we believe you about that you did not murder your wife, even if the police do not. We need you to cooperate. And they show him, excuse me, they show him a photo of a woman who has similar injuries, and he's like, "That's not my wife." And they're like, "We know this happened to a woman in the U.S. Back in the '90s, very similar circumstances. So we're into figuring this out. So tell us everything that's happened in your neighborhood the last few weeks." And he's like, well, my neighbor Walter does remodeling at 4 in the morning. And they're like, that seems like a sign. That is a recurring theme through a lot of our investigation. And that segues us into the story of Walter. Poor Walter.
Oh, Walter. Oh man. Okay, one, so cute.
Mhm.
100% would date. Even if he is being
Absolutely.
tortured to madness by demons.
He just needs like one good night's sleep and he would be absolutely
Tops.
incredible.
Yeah.
He's looking in rough shape
Yeah.
in this movie.
I really wish he would have just gone to a hotel.
Right.
Yes.
So many times, Jen, I was like, why are you still in this house? Like, no, now actually, why are you still like, I would be
Mhm.
sleeping on the motherfucking sidewalk. because okay, this is how it's set up. It's like, okay, kind of a flashback to a few days prior in Walter's story. And Walter's just like laying in bed, turns out the light, and that motherfucking bed just starts like drifting to the wall.
Mhm.
Not chaotic exorcist style. Just like, what if we just move it a skosh over here? Okay, maybe just a skosh more. And I'd be
Yeah.
like, Holiday Inn, man.
Done. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm out the door. Too bad I can never come back to this place for all my belongings.
Yep.
Bye
Oh
bye.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, I will start a new life ghost free somewhere else.
Mhm.
Like, holy crap. I do love how, and you mentioned this, Jeffrey, about how Damien's two films do tend to have these kind of reoccurring themes about how it's it's a disease, like
Mhm.
the evilness is like it's rotten to the core, and then like it kind of seeps into everything, and there's a right way and a wrong way to handle it.
Mhm.
And I feel like all the rules are broken in this movie. Like even the investigators like break their own rules and then womp womp.
And they also kinda don't seem to fully know the rules, which I think is one of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
interesting, kind of like intellectual subplots of this film, which is we think we understand what's happening because we have a lot of research and data. Just like in science, we always think we know what's happening, and there's certain, you know, incontrovertible things that we're like, gravity exists, the sky is blue, blah, blah, blah. But there are certain things that you're always still trying to figure out what's happening. Maybe there's a virus that comes about and mutates a lot, and then you just don't you think you know how you're supposed to deal with it, and then you're 2 months later, you're like, "Nope, that was wrong." And that kind of is where these investigators seem to be too. But I agree with both y'all that Walter, it's not just that he's hearing weird noises in his house and is uncertain and is slightly paranoid. No, he literally is like looking under his bed, looking under his bed, looking under his bed, and then like suddenly like the sheets fly off to the side and like a naked man runs across in the background. And you're
Uh-huh.
like, Walter, you need Hilton points. You need to
Yep.
find a nice Hampton Inn. Maybe you have a former roommate that'll let
I
you
was gonna say, you have a
crash.
friend with a couch?
Yeah.
I mean, shit, I'd sleep in a fucking alley.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I really at that point, I'd be like, I'm a gutter? Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I was like, you have a porch? I would be out
yeah,
on that porch in a second, like fully laid out bedspread,
Uh-huh.
just
saying hi to my neighbors. They're like, oh, we've got black mold demons
Yep.
in the pipes. I'm sorry. It's kind of like bed bugs. I can't decide if this demon is more like bed bugs or black mold in the way it kind of like
Yeah.
well,
spreads.
it's interesting because we get like a teeny bit of information from the woman investigator
Mhm.
who mentions something about dual dimensions or like
Yeah.
doubles in like multiverse, something like in that sort of
Yeah.
parallel
Yeah.
sort of deal. But then immediately like, oh gosh, I mean we're not anywhere near that, but
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
um ugh, yeah.
Walter also has another problem, which we can all relate to, which is trying to get an appointment with a doctor.
Oh my
And
God.
these are like,
Your telehealth appointment will start in 3 minutes. There are 90 people in line ahead of you.
I'm going to narrow that down to even a finer point. It's exactly like trying to get a licensed psychiatrist
mm-hmm.
for your meds, like to get that appointment specifically
Yeah.
and find one that's actually available and taking new clients.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it felt like. I felt that pain so hard. Like the amount of times I've been like, I just need a refill of my Adderall.
You're like, God damn it. Who do I? And the woman on the phone is so monotone, like, oh no, she's not taking any clients.
How did
Are
you
you
get this
sure?
number? How did you get
How'd you
this number?
Yeah. Like you sound no, she can't see you. She absolutely can't see you. Maybe. Wait, what? You have proof? Wait, I need proof?
So this
Oh,
is Dr. Maura Albrecht, who was one of the we'll realize later this is who he's trying to get a hold of, and she was one
Doctor
of the
Serious Doctor.
Dr. Serious Doctor.
I love her.
She's great.
She's great. And Dr. Serious Doctor, yeah, she's obviously really interested in researching this stuff, but she probably is the most well known of these people because we sort of when Hano meets her later, is like basically like I'm a huge fan of yours. You know, like I watch all of your conference speeches. I saw your TED talk, whatever.
Yeah.
Um so clearly she's like a celebrity in this field is kind of the sense we get.
Well, I
But
just love the fact that like when she's introduced to Yano, he's like, "Oh, and she's like, excuse me, doctor." Like she
mhm,
has that air of, "I'm not a crank. I'm not oh, what is not sinister, with the twin, like he's an exorcist and she's a medium, kind of like
mhm,
these are people that
Conjuring?
are just the Conjuring kind of couple. This is like no, she is a scientific doctor and she carries herself with that air of I have answers,
mhm.
which is such
And
a great setup.
professionalism.
Yeah.
Yeah, professionalism, which we kind of learned by the end. Your PhD won't save you from interdimensional demons,
No.
unfortunately.
No. I loved the trio of our paranormal researchers. And
Yeah.
since you brought it up, we'll just mention them because yeah, she's the academic and the superstar of this group. Like she is the most professional of all of them. And then we have El Gringo. We've got Dr. Rosentalk from the
Oh
United
my.
States.
Mad
Who's a
scientist.
yeah, who's total like he's fascinated with everything, total mad scientist. And I love him. I think it's great. I also love watching yeah, as an American, watching a foreign film that depicts an American as a foreigner. It's something I'm always fascinated by. I think I
Yeah.
brought this up recently on the show of talking about like when you fly to especially like London or Canada, when you go in through passport control, they have a sign that says other passports and they put an American flag on it because it's a sign that Americans don't know they're foreigners when they go to other countries.
They're like, this isn't your home.
Yeah, yes.
You're visiting somebody else's. So, act accordingly.
And so immediately hearing him talking in Spanish, speaking in Spanish, I was like, "Oh, hello, person who sounds like me in 10th grade Spanish class."
Your Peggy Hill Spanish.
Yep. So, but yeah, and then you have is it
And then the third
and
is
then
the kind of the like armchair podcast paranormal enthusiast,
something
right?
happened significantly supernatural in his career as a forensic
Yes.
detective
Yes.
for the police that he was like and then he wrote a whole book about it and whatever else, and so yeah, he's come at this from a life experience. I need to do this, and I'm like, that's so great. These especially Albrecht and Rosentalk have much less screen time than Hano, but um their characters are very solid. They're not the same people. You would never get them confused.
Absolutely. And I think Hano's very well developed
Mhm.
actually, even
Oh,
though
yeah,
he
he
doesn't
definitely
get
is.
as much screen time. And oh, I mean, they all get their moments.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
do.
Walter needs proof to get an appointment with Dr. Albrecht, so he films himself while sleeping.
Mm-mm. And but like literally just like sets up the camera and then just goes to lay down in the ghost bed. I was like, are you even gonna are you gonna pretend like you can possibly fall asleep?
The cojones on this motherfucker. Like, I seriously, it's like, wow,
Yeah,
you really like your house.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like, you.
He really likes that lamp. I was like, you have one light source in this, and it's like the
No.
jittery, the jankiest, oldest, like the cord is like threadbare. I was like, this
Cute.
is your only lights?
It's shabby chic.
It's
Got its little
bohemian.
like green glass like lampshade. Yeah.
I mean, I love his house, not gonna lie. Like
It's
this
amazing.
little suburban Buenos Aires house is very cute. But I was like, dude, you need yes, get proof, but also like invest in some flashlights, I think.
Yeah.
A candle,
Yeah.
a hurricane lantern, perhaps.
Yeah. Just a quick visit to the Home Depot. Like, lamps aren't
Yeah.
that expensive there. Even like setting up a pendant light is not that hard to
No.
do.
Tap light.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay.
man, this scene. Ugh, this scene is so you know what? It's what's crazy. So Walter gets visited by a 9-foot tall fleshlight is the only way I can describe it. Like very fleshy, fleshlight giant.
That's you just listed my entire search history.
Is that your
Yeah.
Pornhub search history? 9-foot tall fleshlight.
Yep.
But this motherfucker, this fleshlight is like wandering his halls, watching him sleep, going into his cupboard, leaving his cupboard, doing fucking puppet shadow puppets in the living room.
Doing feng shui, just moving his bed around, being like, no, what if it's in the corner? What if it's here?
I know I know you guys hate me, but what if we try it against the other wall?
Oh,
I just centered that painting though. Yeah.
And I gotta say, like, Walter's reaction is really interesting. It's like he's terrified, as per the name of this film, but he doesn't leave. Like, his response is like a 6-year-old kid is like, stay in bed, put the covers over your head, and pray.
Yeah.
Which is like a really interesting reaction from a grown-ass man in a horror movie.
Uh-huh.
I'm not faulting him at all, because I would be like, yeah, like, dear Jesus, Buddha, God, Allah, there is a giant wander, like, breathing up and touching my face right now.
Yep.
Please help me get through this night.
Well, also, he's a good enough actor that I feel like he internalized why, like, he had a reason why that character was staying. It just wasn't vocally like exhibited, but I mean I didn't feel like it. I felt like I didn't feel like he was dumb.
No.
I didn't feel like it was like, oh, idiot, like the girl in the negligee running up the stairs.
Yeah.
But I was just like, but no, but no. Oh, but don't do that. Maybe don't do that.
I know you need proof, and I know you have a mortgage, but maybe set up the cameras and then, like, again, Holiday Inn.
Yes. So he even at one point in time grabs a gun and points it at the wardrobe, which I'm like, oh, that's not going to do anything.
Yeah, Walter's not fucking around.
No.
Which, again, I appreciate. I'm like, there's a determinedness about him. He's like, oh, you want proof? No, I've been on every medication. It's not the fucking medication. Like, again, your telehealth call will begin in 30 seconds. There are 90 people ahead of you. He's like, oh, you want proof? I'm going to get you fucking proof. But when he pulls out that gun, I was like, all right, Walter, take care of business, sir. I don't know if this is going to work, but okay.
But yeah, the next morning he watches the camcorder's on the ground. Like, the weird naked alien thing has absolutely just knocked that thing over. And he watches this video, and that fucking wardrobe is opening behind him. And I've already kind of like forgotten it, because there's 2 layers of things happening. He's watching the video in the same spot where the video was taken. Yeah. So we see on the video the thing coming out of the wardrobe, but in the actual shot of him watching the video, we see the wardrobe opening behind him.
It's so smart.
It's so good.
So well done.
Yeah.
It's so just like, like this.
Oh, it's so good.
I think Walter, Walter would have fared better in this film if he had, like, an accountability partner, like a demon accountant. If he had been like on the phone with somebody, like, oh my God, no, it's on the ground right now. Okay, I'm gonna watch this video, but I'm coming over to your house. We're gonna watch this together, because I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Okay, so that's cut away from Walter. Now we've got We've got our little boy who is being yelled at to get away from the don't drink that water out of the garden hose, and then he's just backing up into the street, and we go full. What movie did we watch where this was it Pet Cemetery?
Oh,
Where it's just
yeah.
child just gets
Pet
absolutely
Sematary.
mauled by a giant vehicle going
It's
80 on a residential street.
It's not a child, but one of the Final Destination movies has a
Oh,
very
for sure.
similar
Yeah.
Mhm.
death. Hereditary feels similar in fashion because of the like head pop.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
the
and
car
Meet
aspect of
Joe
it.
Black. It has one of the
Is that how it
greatest
happens? It's Meet Joe Black?
right? Isn't it Meet Joe Black where he like doesn't he like back into the street and he's like wave? Is it that movie where Brad Pitt's like waving and
Never
backing into the
s-
street
I've
and just
never
gets
I've never seen it.
I've only heard about it,
yeah.
but I never watched it.
I think it's that movie. I'm maybe mixing up my
Well,
like
he ends
late
up being
'90s
like a
Brad Pitt
ghost,
films.
right?
Yeah.
Is
Well,
it one
he's
of
like-
those
I thought he
secret
is
ghost
death.
movies?
I don't even
That's-
remember. I just remember that scene and I was like, oh, whoa, hell yeah. This just got good.
I actually think the creepiest thing about this is like, again, like that suburban haunt of like, your neighbor. The next door neighbor is almost as scary because like what you tell your neighbor and what's going on in your life and what you're trying to like put on a good face
Uh-huh.
is like part of the scariest thing about this.
Yeah.
And so this idea of like this kid, totally normal kid, drinking from the tap, and then through the closed blinds, we hear Walter being like, "Don't drink that. Get away from here. You need to go home. Get away." Like that's terrifying. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like it level of terrifying
Absolutely.
in that like, when your neighbors are like complicit in the haunt,
Yeah.
Although I do think that Walter was trying in
Yeah.
his way to help, but he was not fully Walter, I think, at that point. So
Yeah, he's like a shut-in and doesn't know what he's up against. But he had that instinct of like, my house is haunted as fuck. Stay away from my house, kid.
yep.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
something about the way that it's
Unfortunately,
shot that
did
is
not help.
that's so like suburban creepy.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
So this is Alicia's son. And we're gonna have a memorial for her son.
An actual memorial,
Yep.
which Jen Brown is watching from afar with,
yep,
with
up on the
binoculars.
hill, feeding quarters into the
my
viewfinder.
little
Yeah.
quarters. I've got my sack of quarters
You're
tied
like,
to
oh,
my
they look
hip.
sad.
The
That
other
looks real sad.
hip has got some tissues.
Yep.
Professional mourner.
Professional mourner.
I love that. I one of the
That
really
needs to be on a shirt.
Mhm.
Are you gonna make business cards now?
Yep.
Professional mourner needs to be on something. This is
Mhm.
brilliant.
One of the fun details that I love in this movie that's so great, just like a small little thing that is simultaneously funny and really tragic, is the scene on the street with basically the maintenance crew like power washing the street
Oh yeah.
as investigators arrive. This is like bring up Brecht all the time on this show, but that's a very Brechtian thing because it speaks to the practicality of death, like literally what's happening, and also an acknowledgement of labor, right? Like what happens when you die in a public space. That is just an acknowledgement of people in the service industry happening here,
Yeah.
which I think is a good introduction to Commissioner Funes, like the chief of police or commissioner, whatever his title is, that in here that the police are servants to the community. We have a horror movie where it doesn't seem like the police are incompetent or the bad guy or whatever.
Or
Although-
the 911 is going to save everything.
Yeah,
Right.
Not yeah.
Right.
Like if only I can make it till dawn, the police will arrive and that's when the credits will roll.
Yes.
Kind of ending.
Yeah. And to be clear,
Right,
I'm not asking for movies that show police in a great light. I just mean to say that just a common trope that the police won't save you.
Oh, absolutely. But they also at the same point, they do make sure to point out that he's clearly a flawed hero.
Yes.
Because we come to find out his situation. I think he refers to it at some point as because you know my situation or something. Like he tells another character, like, before we find out what happens, you know, my problem or my issue.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
and then we slowly find out, oh, maybe you're not so saintly, but it creates this lovely tension because he's actually right. But
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good plot device because it added an extra layer of fear that didn't need to be there
Yeah.
and an extra layer of difficulty to
Yeah.
have sane minds prevail.
Yeah.
That it's just like, oh, we're fucked. Like
This neighborhood is fucked.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, as soon as this character comes in, he's like, "I'm only 2 weeks away from retirement. I got a clean slate." I'm like,
Thank you, Danny
"Sir,
Glover."
You are not going to make it to the end of this movie. Come on, because one of my favorite things is like what is the paperwork on this going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, I went in to investigate, and we have 3 officers on the scene, and one of them is like flying around the room. The other one is like in a blender.
Yeah, I love all the layers of him. Like he's got this mysterious, my situation. He's also got he is the ex, either spouse or boyfriend of Alicia, whose son just died. He's also got hearing problems. He has hearing aids. He's also got a blood coagulating issue, and he is totally Officer Murtaugh from Lethal Weapon, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm 2 weeks from this is my last mission.
We think that was his kid.
No.
Oh. It didn't seem like it seemed more like stepdad kind of vibes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it also seemed like they had broken up.
Yeah.
Like it was definitely very much like my ex.
Yes.
And her kid, right?
The kid looked more like his kid than the current husband's kid.
Oh. Wait.
He had like super
did we meet
dark
her
hair.
current husband?
Yeah, he opened the door, remember?
Oh, you're right. Yeah? Yeah.
And he's like, "What are you doing here? Get out of here."
That's right.
You're
That's right.
Scaring. And then like she's like, "My daughter." And I think they were implying that was his son.
Oh shit.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe.
If that's the case, he didn't really react to the child the way I thought.
Or
like
maybe not that it was,
would.
but like I don't know. Part of me was just like, maybe the movie's implying that he doesn't know that was his kid.
Or yeah, interesting.
I don't know. They both had dark hair.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I was focused more on his very handsome salt and pepper badger beard.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, oh, daddy.
Yes, he had a I can't remember his name. There's an actor that he reminds me of, but I cannot, an American actor, but I cannot think of his name. Oh, it'll come to me. Anyway, he looks like a rugged, handsome fat guy who you don't know who I'm talking about.
Like that guy, with the face and the beard.
Mm-hmm. So
it's not Andy Garcia, but it's somebody.
Yeah, somewhere in that.
Okay,
realm.
totally. I can see that.
You know what I mean? Like it's in that.
Yes.
It's in that world.
Like tough but kind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of face.
Yes.
So Alicia's had a tough few days because of reasons we just stated, and then she is up late one night just having a cigarette in her kitchen, stressing out, and she hears some noises, and she goes to look outside, and all up the sidewalk and into her house, there's a series of muddy footprints.
But like up the wall and shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's not natural.
No.
I also love it. It's like it's also this is one of those things that's like maybe it's a little too staged is perhaps the word, but it's like like if you took Spider-Man,
they were like cartoon.
Yeah.
Level.
Also
like very clean, very clean tracks. And I
Yeah.
was like, I like the no mud, like it's very clean and very
Yeah.
looks very staged, as if
Very staged.
like that
Yeah.
ghost wants you to know that they are active.
Yes. It looks like old school like dance step
Yes, yes.
notation.
Like you're learning the samba or something.
Yeah.
And because the child would have been buried in a suit, he's got dress shoes on, so it even adds to it that the dress shoe, like it's not like he was in
Like the tap
his
shoe
Reeboks
imprint.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Um
She's not
so
doing good. She is clearly not having. And next we see she's like on the couch chattering, and she seems to have like some weird skin disease.
she's got like I think it's she's got the mud from holding her child like all over her. I
Yeah,
think
that's what
that's
I
what it
thought.
was. We never see her embrace the child because we're gonna have the
Okay.
reveal, but I think once we see the child, I was like, oh, he came home and she held him.
Oh, because
I
I was like, does she
I
have
thought the
like
same thing.
Yeah.
alligator skin? Or
Oh no, I
again,
didn't.
go back to this thing is like this demon seems to travel like black mold. I was like, she's been in this house too long.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So they've
okay, that makes
yeah.
way more sense. That I was like, oh, she's got like she's got some sort of weird like patchy skin or
Mm-hmm.
something from this. I don't know what's happening.
Moisturize, girl.
Yeah,
That's right.
scrub it away. Get a lupa.
I know your son is dead, but you have got to keep up appearances.
Yeah. I might even just start with a bar of lava before you go on to the
Yeah, yeah,
moisturization. Like just
yeah.
get that orange liquid soap with all the
I
grit
was gonna
in
say,
it.
is that like that mechanics use
Uh-huh.
that like super orange
Yeah.
stuff will clean off
Pumice
quick.
soap. Yeah.
Yes, I love that stuff.
Okay,
I love this
so
movie.
they bring so Commissioner Funes brings over Hano, who is his former coworker, basically, and Hano is one of the people who investigates supernatural stuff. Um, and they Funes takes him into the kitchen of Alicia's house, and there is the boy sitting at the
No.
table, unmoving, full decay, eyeballs out, just mouth hanging open, sitting in his little rotted
Hands?
suit in front of a bowl of Fruit Loops, not doing
I
nothing.
know, right?
Oh my god.
He's a very obedient corpse child.
Obedient.
Like this corpse child looks very polite, you know?
Yes.
In the top 5 most upsetting images in a horror movie ever for me.
Yeah.
Like there is something that about this that just upsets me at every core. And I think one of the main things that I was thinking about it, and one of the main differences between like this back from the dead boy and other back from the dead kids in other movies like Pet Cemetery,
Mm-hmm.
which you brought up, is that it's not like an evil weird zombie kid being like ah, and it's this husk of its actual body that you have no idea whether or not it's gonna move or when it's gonna do anything. And that like anticipation of not knowing whether or not it's gonna choose to like eat your brain or like
Yeah.
whatever the hell it's there for is so terrifying. The like the just completely still monster until it isn't still is terrifying. That is like
Yeah.
upper hand power move ultimate. Like you want to scare the shit out of somebody, just like be super super still and say or do nothing. So it's like serial killer level, like terrifying, and it
Yeah.
is so effective because it moves so infrequently, and every time it does, you're like, I shit my pants. Like so scary, so unbelievably, and the makeup, the design.
I know.
Like,
It's like one,
Mhm.
it's like kind of like one eye is sort of like melted down a little. Like it looks
like the coroner
sad.
did not do a good job restoring that boy's
Oh, no.
face.
No.
They did an open casket. Like, oh Lord.
Mm-mm.
It was giving me Gollum, Golem vibes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Jewish Golem.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
is it made of clay? Is it a person anymore? just that level, like we were saying, that level of stillness of like, we don't know what this thing wants. And that's, you know, the idea of like the scariest monster is the one that you don't know what its motivation is.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
why did this child crawl out of a grave, come home and sit at the kitchen table, and now it's just sitting still? Like, is it awaiting orders? Is it possessed by a demon? Is it like being moved? Oh my god.
Yeah.
It also gave me like big Devil's Backbone
Oh
Oh yeah,
yeah. Uh-huh.
totally.
vibes with the kid, like,
Yeah.
because that ghost child is also one of the most terrifying things I've ever
Uh-huh.
seen. And also, there's more terrifying ghost like children in Tigers Not Afraid. Latine films in general really like scary ass ghost kids.
Yes.
With with like a horrible, like truthful, like painful arc that
Yeah.
is
There's like
just
a
like
sadness. There's like a pathos
very
to
sad. Very
children.
Yeah.
we love morbid sad shit and magical realism
Yeah.
because it I mean, I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, it's not the only reason. I've addressed and talked about this topic with a lot of other like friends and Latine filmmakers and interviews them about this like thing where
Well,
magical realism is just really big in the Latine culture, and a lot of it stems from having to constantly be running from something or feeling like you're always attacked, and in order to be able to like live in that terrifying world and keep some sense of sanity, adding magical
Hmm.
essence to it just feels, I don't know. I
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it just we really like our dark morbid
I
fantasy
was also thinking about like one of the
heritage.
podcasts that I listen to a lot, horror podcasts I reference on the show, and they've been guests on our show before, is Uike Horror. And they Johnny and Eileen on that show, that Uike Horror only focuses on Latinx horror films. And years of listening to their show, they they have made very clear that if you're watching a Latinx horror film and there is a child in it, they will kill that child. Like
Oh,
Even American horror movies tend to not
yeah.
kill the child.
Yeah.
A Latinx horror movie, that child is gonna die,
yeah, that
and you
child
will
is
see it.
uh-huh. Oh, and you're gonna know it's gonna happen, and you're gonna be like, please don't. Oh, but it's and it's gonna be the
Yeah.
worst thing you've ever seen.
Pet
Like,
Cemetery, that child gets hit by a diesel. You don't actually see it get hit.
no, no.
It implies you see child, diesel, cut away, there's a shoe in the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
So,
It's not like, or same director. We were just talking about When
oh,
Evil Lurks, the
yep.
dog and that
Okay.
little girl.
Well, yep. Mm-mm. So,
Horrible. Horrible.
well, Hano basically gets what you were speaking to earlier, Jen, about the still monster, the one that does not move. And Hano like gets right into this child's face,
Yeah.
examining it like it's a piece of art at the museum. Like he is just examining the Greek bust from 2000 BC or whatever. And I'm
I
like,
thought that was
what the
such a great
shit?
insight. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Yo,
That
no.
seemed like was such a great insight to his character.
Mhm.
You know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
To react
Logical,
that way.
like this thing won't hurt me. Look, I can get up. Like that's another kind of like a theme of this movie is that like fear is contagious. And
Yeah.
that like our kind of trio of protagonists are like not presented as fearless, but as masters of their fear versus the other characters, Walter, you know, people like that are like succumbed, like paralyzed by their fear to the
Yeah.
point where they're like taking showers in Ghost Town versus like a healthy respect for fear. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's very much in theme with When Evil Lurks, and but like
Mhm.
runs through both of his films. Is
Yeah.
this idea of like, if you let fear control you,
Mhm.
you kind of invite it to destroy you.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that kind of rhymed. I didn't mean
Yeah.
it to.
I have a Hallmark card.
So,
Like,
Hano
if you let fear in.
that's in a script font. I got that on a
Yeah.
like a piece of
That's how.
driftwood at Home
Live,
Goods.
laugh, love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Hano pops outside of Alicia's house and he sees across the street at Walter's house, he sees Dr. Maura Albrecht, and he's like, I fucking know her. I've been to Spooky Con and seen her on a panel before, and so he approaches her. This is where he has that moment of like, oh, you're Dr. Maura Albrecht. Yeah, Dr. Albrecht.
Yeah, please. I'm a doctor.
And then
You will respect me.
but this is where he puts together and, helps her put together the idea of like, wait a minute, I got supernatural shit over here. You got supernatural shit over
Yeah.
here. You got peanut butter in my chocolate. I got chocolate in your peanut butter. And yeah, let's team up. Let's be spooky Avengers and make this, make this all go away.
Now, I have a critique here, which is, okay, so Dr. Albrecht is like, she has a note, like a note has been left for her on Walter's doorstep, essentially. That's like, presumably like, my house is haunted as fuck. I got to get out of here.
Mhm.
And we never hear from Walter again, which to me is like, characters kind of like, I was like, oh, are we done with that guy, I guess? And we get a little bit from like the couple in the beginning, like, the guy who's in the institution, he clearly comes back at the end, but like there is a sense of like, what happens to these people? Like they just kind of like drift away, which is kind of eerie because it's more realistic and it's not tied up in a little bit like, oh, like, we see Walter like, hiding in a alley somewhere.
Now,
Doesn't Walter, we do get,
he's
I
in the
feel like
wall,
we do
right?
get
Isn't he in
Walter
the
back.
isn't he in the giant hole in the
Is
wall?
I don't think that's him.
I thought,
Oh.
Oh, was that him? Because that whatever was hiding in that hole with Dr. Albrecht, that thing had like tentacles for hands.
no, but I think there were multiple. I think
Oh,
it was that thing,
shit.
and I think Walter was in there too.
So it was him.
I think that was him in there being covered in 9-foot tall fleshlight.
He's fully enveloped by the fleshlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
You know what it is?
that makes more
It's
sense.
Translucent. It kind of looks like a demonoid translucent Gumby.
Yeah.
It's very like gelatinous looking.
Yeah. It looks wet, even though it isn't.
It's so upsetting.
Yep.
It's so upsetting.
That
But
makes
did y'all
way
see-
more sense. That makes, because I was like, because somebody said they're like, what happened to Walter? We don't fucking know. So that makes sense that it's Walter like hiding in the walls. That
Yeah.
checks out.
Yeah, I think it's they got Walter in the wall. Like they got it.
Okay.
Like he's
Okay.
I think
Gotcha.
it's
keeping
similar
him or whatever.
to me. It was similar to like when when Funes later discovers Hano inside the hutch, the dining cart or whatever,
Yeah.
the drink cart. He it took
been
me a second
infected.
to realize that was Hano.
Yeah.
But just because he was so made up and his eyes had been
Oh, yeah.
fucked up and whatever else. So, okay, so they've got to do something with this child zombie thing because at one point in time, shortly after we meet Dr. Albrecht in the street, Hano takes her over to see the zombie child. And while they're sitting there talking, zombie child's like best friend comes over to hang out,
Oh,
climbs the fence, and
no.
sees his zombie
this
friend.
poor kid. This poor kid.
This
It's just
kid
like-
has the best holy shit, what is happening blank look face
Yeah.
I've ever seen on a kid. It's so good. It does, because it feels real. Like,
Yeah.
it really, like, I'm like, what did they say to the kid to get him to have this expression? Because it is accurate. Like, it feels very, very accurate.
Yeah.
So one of my fears that is like a long-standing fear from when I was a kid is like when it's light outside and dark inside and you have to like kind of press your face up to the glass to like peer, like you can see an image inside, but you can't, like, you can't, like, you have to like really get up close to the glass, because when I was growing up, we had a sliding glass door in our living room that was kind of like air pockets had gotten in, so it was kind of cloudy.
Yeah.
So like you could never quite see what was going on outside. So you would hear a noise and you could never, like, without opening the door to figure out. But this idea of like this kid, like zombie kid, is just sitting at the kitchen table, and the live kid is like, "Hey, Bobby, what you doing? Do you have the math? Are you okay?" But it's like shot from the kid's point of view of like,
Yeah.
"Oh, look, he's just sitting at the table. Wait, didn't he die 2 days ago?"
Yep.
But he's got to
Mm-mm.
get up close.
Yep.
And when the adults come back in, they just hear a kerfuffle. And like
No,
the
but we
kid's
get
backpack is left behind. The milk is spilt.
but we get we before that we do get that shot of his head slowly
Yes.
turning
That's the
towards
only time we
his
see him
friend.
move.
And
Yeah.
it's they don't use it as a jump scare, or like most of the time when he moves we don't see it, or it's like real sudden. This is, I think, the first or one of the only times where like we see this slow movement, and it's so upsetting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just bleh.
I'm
It really,
glad
really
you
sucks.
reminded me of that. This movie goes for slow, creaky over fast percussive every time. Like there's like later when they're like investigating, when like shit's going tits up, like in all three of these
Mm-hmm.
houses, and they have something in a cupboard. In a lot of horror movies, it would be like quick open, jump scare. This is much more like slow creak,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there
which
are
I
some
appreciate.
jump scares for sure,
Yeah.
but they're very conservative with them, and they're earned, and they're genuinely terrifying.
Yeah, for real.
They're not cheap. They're
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
cheap
yeah.
jump scares. They are earned.
Yeah.
It's not the
scares.
like closing the bathroom mirror and there's a person behind you every time kind of shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Like the one of the most effective jump scares I think that happens in the movie is with the boy. And I can't remember when, but it's like he goes to a door. He's like looking through a door, and he doesn't see like a cracked door. And then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden the boy is literally in the crack of the door staring at him in the face, like
Yeah.
slams the door. Like
Oh, yeah.
that. Like I was just like, oh my shit, like I completely forgot about that one. It got me so good.
So they've
Ah.
one of the things that happens also in this right before that boy comes over is we have this conversation between Hano and Dr. Albrecht, which is just Hano telling his story about like these crazy horrible things happen, and he's like, when this shit is happening, this is kind of a statement of one of the philosophical beliefs in this movie, which is, I think maybe we should just let the things happen. I think it's us fucking with them that is fucking with things beyond our comprehension makes the shit happen worse. And you can tell Dr. Albrecht is like, I totally disagree. I think understanding what causes the thing is important to understanding how to stop the thing or work around it. But she says, so shady. I loved this line so much. This is, if somebody said this to me, this is way more crushing than any direct criticism, because she says, "Oh yes, this is familiar. You wrote a book. I think I read that book." And he said, "Oh, what? That's amazing. You read my book." And she says, "It had a very nice cover."
Withering.
Just I felt that so deep. I felt that deeper than The Return of the Dead Child, felt that deeper
Legend.
than the jump scare.
I read your book.
Legend.
Great
Yes.
cover.
Legendary. Just
Withered.
oh.
Instantly my favorite character is Dr. Albrecht.
Yep.
Like the equivalent to that as an actor of like you go up to an actor afterwards, you're like, man, you really you wore those costumes.
Yeah. How did you memorize all of those lines? Wow.
Okay,
You
so
did that.
withering, yeah. So they got to move this fucking body, and so
Oh my god.
So they do. So we got Funes, and we've got Dr. Albrecht, and we've got Hano, and they take this kid, pick up this kid, chuck him in the backyard freezer, which is conveniently empty, by the way, because anyone in my family who owned one of those freezers, there were like stacks of pork chops from 15 years ago
It was
filled in that thing.
unplugged though, right? Because I feel like they had to
Yes.
actively plug it in.
No,
So
it was plugged in.
And then they
Because
unplugged it.
and then they
yeah.
unplugged it because Funes listens into it. And he can't hear over the buzz of the machinery, so he's like, unplug it. And then
I
when he
got it
unplugs it, he can
backwards.
hear
Okay.
the boy
Like rustling
inside, like,
around.
"Bah, bah." Yeah,
For some reason, my brain remembered that
yeah.
the other way around.
But Neighbor Boy gets this whole thing on iPhone.
I love that kid. Like, this kid is brave as fuck that he like just saw his dead best friend at the kid's kitchen table. Presumably this zombie child is like "Bleh," like trying to touch him or do something,
Yeah.
runs away, and he's like, I'm gonna fucking Encyclopedia Brown this shit, and I'm gonna film
Yeah,
what goes. And it's like, it's so fucking cute and like kind of industrious that this kid is like, he's not looking over the fence, he's just like popping the camera over the fence.
yeah.
Like,
He's all Harriet the Spy over here,
yeah, I love this. I love this kid.
ruining
This
it
kid
for
is this
everyone.
kid is might be the bravest character in
Yep.
the entire film.
Okay,
But he's like, yeah, you just put my best friend into the freezer and put a
yeah.
plant on top of it. That's fucked up. I'm gonna show this to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same kid?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So, yeah, so their plan now is so because Hano sort of realized that this boy had crawled out over the last 4 days, just dug his way out of his grave. They're like, what we need to do is put him in a deep freezer, take the deep freezer, bury it 6 feet underground, and then cover it in concrete.
This is some mafia shit.
Yep.
Like, honestly, like I love he's just like, he's like, you know what? This is the best. This is what I prescribe. I prescribe burying it in a basement foundation, salting the earth, never going back.
Yep.
It gives me, he comes up with it so easily
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, right?
that I'm
Yeah.
like, there's a precedent for this. Like,
Yeah.
He's like Harvey Keitel in Pulp Fiction. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, I got this.
like
Yeah.
you don't just come up with that if you haven't already had to do that.
Yeah.
But it makes sense if he's the
Yeah.
character that like saw a dead body that had been shot 15 times to the head come alive 3 days later. This is the thing that his secret, like, it's been mulling around in the back of his head, knowing like, if I ever encountered this thing again, like, how would I do? And now he's able to, it's like when you do a sourdough starter yourself and then somebody else is starting one, you're like, no, wait, oh, I got you. Here,
Mhm.
let me walk you through this process because it's complicated. Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I got you. Boom, boom, boom. Just, you know, and he brings it up very matter of factly, like, do you want the mother to see this thing walking around? No, put it in concrete.
Yeah. So which kind of goes into his thing of like, let's just stop fucking around with this shit. Let's just get everything out. His plan is like, get everything out of sight. You know, he tells Funes, like, Funes is panicked about his reputation, but he tells him like, well, one of the things that will help is if you get the cop cars out of the street because now you got neighbors staring.
Yeah.
Just take action, bury it, lock it away, don't think about it again, is kind of his sort of approach.
Move it at night.
Yep.
You know, keep it hush hush.
Yeah. Okay, so now we flash back to Juan in the psych ward, and we've got our 3 investigators. So they get him to sign off. They basically got sign-offs that they can each stay in one of the infected homes. So we've got Walter's place, Juan and Clara's place, and we've got Alicia's place. And so each of these 3 investigators are going to stay there. They all have their own form of ghost hunting or ghost tracking equipment. Dr. Albrecht's is seriously this like steampunk looking gyroscope thing.
Right? Yeah.
That
Like pendulum, like the ultimate pendulum.
Yes.
Housing case.
Mm-hmm.
What's it? Rosenstock is very like poltergeist, American techno bleeps and bloops.
Yep. And Hano's is like, he's got like a little, like, it looks like a little piece of like wood that floats in a dish of water that moves around.
Well, it's like a magnetized, like you magnetize
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Like it's very like cottage, like he's like a garage investigator,
Yeah.
but I love it. His thing is more of investigate, like
Uh-huh.
listen to the answering machine, follow the clues,
Mm-hmm.
more detective procedural.
Yeah.
And I do the heavy machinery that she has
I know, right?
is like, I love it. I love fake ghost gadgets. Like, I
Uh-huh.
love them. I love anything that's like, demons, spiritual, others, like anything that's
Uh-huh.
meant to be part of that world is
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Chef's
Amazing.
Gorgeous.
kiss.
And
I
it's
love
it's
it.
also like it's
So
not
cool.
witchy, because normally, like when we're talking demons, there's inevitably we got to talk about the church in some way. This story is like, nope, nope, nope. The
Mm-mm.
Pope
No.
is not going to help you.
Mm-mm.
It's also like, there's sort of like a mumbo jumbo-y kind of witchcrafty thing, but this seems very like just shy of that. It's more about like magnetic fields and energy fields and polarization and things that are bound in science, but just half a hair beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. I felt the same way, and I love that you point that out, because it feels like scientists using like Wiccan and witch and bruja, like spiritual
Mm-hmm.
methods within a scientific context
Yeah.
to try to meld the two, but coming at it being like, well, maybe there's something in this that we can use, because obviously it's not complete,
Yeah.
crap, because
Yeah.
what we're
There's furniture
experiencing.
moving
Yeah,
around, and
right.
like we don't know how it's moving furniture,
Right.
but we know,
But
but like we're not going to try and recite the Book of the Dead in order
no,
to
no, but
like
if
go
we
to
can
it
use
that way.
elements of this in combination with science, that's what it really feels like, that someone discover, a scientist discovering the Book of the Dead or discovering the thing, and like, how can I use this?
Yeah.
It also makes me think of the futility of it too, right? It's hard not to
Oh,
look at these devices and
yeah.
say like, well, one, these are like really cool props for a horror film. It's very common in a horror film that there is some ghost hunting device from, like Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah.
Classic example of like they are very specifically explained weapons for the sake of the movie that they do a certain thing. And here you're like, well, we as humans develop machinery to help us do our learning, our information gathering, our hunting, and ultimately none of it matters. So it's
Yeah.
almost like the devices themselves, you're not really allowed as the audience to know how they work, because it could sort of be implied it doesn't matter at
Yeah.
all.
It's more like
Because
navigation equipment.
yeah,
Like, like, okay, sure, this star chart and this, barometer is going to
yeah,
get you so far, but it's not going to save you.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's passive.
Hmm.
Like it might tell you when the ghosts are active, but it's not going to like trap them or kill
Yeah,
them, or which I think is really refreshing in a horror film kind of
yeah,
way.
It is, and like Albrecht's, uh to that point, actually says something similar right before the
hmm
Oh
maybe
my
the most
God.
upsetting moment in the movie.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
uh um where she points out, like, she's like, oh, it's like these dimensions bleeding, or we don't know why, and like he asks her, oh, what can we do to stop it? And she full out admits not
Nada. Like nothing. Yeah.
nothing.
yeah.
And then, oh, Juniper. She doesn't, it's very upsetting to her too. She does not like
Yeah.
this point in the
She
movie.
disagrees. She has her own point. Well,
Juniper.
we've got, let's start with Rosenstock and Funes are staying together they're
Yes.
in not Walter's home. They're in Juan and Clara's home, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So,
I'm so sorry.
yeah.
I
You have a
think
dog? Do you have a dog moment?
I think she's having an emergency moment, because she usually doesn't like
Oh,
bark and whine like this unless it's like, Mom, I gotta go outside now.
yeah.
So I'm gonna run her out real quick. I'm so
Please.
sorry.
Okay.
Oh, okay, good.
Sure.
Do that.
Just let everything roll.
Yeah. Um,
Sure enough.
when
Sure
she
enough.
said emergency, I was like, oh shit. Oh no.
Yeah, I was like, oh my
okay.
God,
Oh
is
no.
your dog like
no, just has to pee. Well, we'll pause. We'll wait for her to to pop back on and do a thing. Yeah, I'm excited Jazzy's coming to Europe. I think that's gonna be great.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
He's such a sweet, innocent baby. He
Mhm.
does it like he's never ordered an Uber before. Like he's such a country boy that I'm
Mhm.
like, well, I was like, you're gonna learn in Berlin.
Mhm.
I
So
just hope
good.
you make it home okay.
Oh, Berlin is such a fun training ground for never
Yeah,
been to Europe before.
it'll be fine.
It'll be
Like
fun.
we'll have a show day so we can kind of get boots on the ground and get him situated and
Yeah.
you know,
It'll be easy.
that whole thing.
It'll be fine. Yeah. I was looking at I'm starting to like map out for this next week's tour.
Mhm.
Um, I was starting to map out whatever for this tour we're about to go on, and I just saw Meg booked us into something motor hotel, like in
Oh,
have we stayed in that place before?
that sounds really familiar.
It was okay, so
Which
it's
Eugene? No. I mean,
no, I think it's
is
the
it?
San Francisco Beck's Motor Lodge.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Um,
But it's on Market Street, so it's probably pretty bougie. Like I'm guessing it's like remember that hotel we stayed at in Santa Fe for like 2 minutes and then had to get up at ODAR
yes,
30. I
yeah,
think it's gonna be like one of those.
I think so too. It does look very cute, and fortunately, I mean, it'll be on a day where we'll probably arrive close to check in. But I was a little bit like, oh no, because those places usually aren't real good about getting us in.
Oh, I see. Yeah, this place, I don't know, looks all right.
It should be fine. I mean, I sort of trust like a California
It's in the
motor
Castro.
motor lodge. Yeah, okay, great. Um, yeah, it definitely looks cute. It's got good reviews. I think it'll be great. But I did have a thing too where I was like,
You're like, please let us in.
please
Please.
just let us in. I mean, the thing about Hampton is that you just never, ever,
Yeah.
ever have a problem. Very rarely.
Also, that place in Santa Fe, those women were so bitchy. They were like, well, you should have called and let us know. And I was like, lady, I'm not even in charge here. I just want, do you have like a couch I could sit on? Like anything?
Yeah,
No?
they seemed kind of new at things and
Like
just
they were trying
had
to guilt trip us into
yeah,
like being more responsible. I was like, lady, this is like the 9th hotel we've stayed in this week.
yeah,
This is standard procedure here.
yeah. They were not prepared. I told you that lady came to the show though.
Oh, she
The
did?
manager woman
Oh my
came to the
God,
show.
really?
Yeah,
Wow. Okay,
yeah.
well,
I was like, all right.
if I remember, that was a nice performing arts theater, Santa
Mhm.
Fe. That was a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
I mean, we've got some long drivey days like coming up ahead on
Mhm.
this tour, but I think it'll be okay. I
The
don't
one
know.
thing I love about it is, unlike the last two tours, this one ends on a series of short drives. Because the last two
Oh yeah,
tours, the drives seem to be
the
like the
Florida
last.
slog.
Because
Fucking
our
hell.
last day to Atlanta, we had like
Yeah,
a
that was like a
Jacksonville to
10-hour
Atlanta.
drive day.
It
Well,
was
a
yeah,
show.
it was a long drive day, and this one it's Eugene to Portland to Seattle,
Yeah, yeah. Which
and
is
I think
like,
the two biggest drives we have are both like non-show nights because driving Sacramento to Eugene and um
with the El
Austin to
Paso
El
day.
Paso. Yeah,
I don't think I've ever been to El Paso.
I don't think I have either.
We gotta get a rope. We gotta get some salsa.
Oh, sure, we got to get some paste picante sauce or
Yes,
whatever.
that's
Is that
right.
made in El Paso, Texas? Um,
I am really excited to eat some fucking bomb ass Tex-Mex.
um, yeah, I think that'll be really good. I think we'll be good on that front.
Yeah.
We should be able to find Tex-Mex in El
I
Paso
think so.
somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, my flight leaves at 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday.
Woo!
It's one of those, I don't know why or how, but it's like it was either get into Austin, Texas at like 1 p.m. or like 9 p.m. And I was like, motherfucker. Okay, so I'm gonna have an early ass day.
Uh-huh.
But then when I'm in Austin, it's like, yeah, I don't know, check into the hotel,
Yeah.
eat some good food. Maybe I'll ask Jen. I'll be like, Jen, where do I need to eat in Austin? Where are we staying? We're staying like what's that hotel look like? Pew, pew. The Doubletree Hilton Austin University area. Okay.
Okay.
So presume oh wait. Oh, there's two hotels on this. Doubletree Suites. That's weird. Hilton Hotel Austin. Oh yeah, under the Paramount, under the on the 9th, it's got two hotels listed. I don't know if that's on purpose or not.
Oh, and that's interesting.
Yeah, with two different addresses. How's the puppy? Is the puppy good?
He's good. She definitely had to go.
Okay, good.
Like, bad.
Okay.
So she's all good now. I brought her bed in here so she can lay right outside
Chill.
the door and eat
Chill.
her dog treats. And I love my dog very much.
Oh.
I've never loved an animal ever the way I love this fucking dog. I grew up with dogs, never bonded with one as hard. Like I wasn't like a villain. I liked dogs, but I definitely didn't fully understand the like people who were like, I'd give my life for my dog. I still wouldn't give my life for Juniper, but I would consider it heavily. Like I never truly got animal like bonding until her. Yeah, she's my child.
That's your fur baby.
Yeah, she's my fur baby. My very, very big fur baby.
All right, cool. Let's pop back on to here.
Thank you.
Where are we?
No worries.
We're kind of in our three houses, right?
Okay, so now yeah, so we're gonna get into here's the action here. Now is when the monsters seem to be we're gonna actually see the monsters in action a little bit. And it's a wild ride. They all just kind of have their own MO, their own thing. There's no real consistent rules to these monsters whatsoever. Some of them like to just stand naked over you in a bed. Some of them like to snap necks, cash checks and snap necks. Some of them like to just be zombie children who spill their cereal.
Just chill.
And in the case of with Rosenstock and Funes in their house, you have ones that like to drink your blood.
Yeah.
And so we see a series of like underneath the kitchen cabinets, there's a bunch of silverware just dangling, magnetized under it. And Rosenstock is just like playing around with it. How
cool
is this? Jingle, jingle. It's like a xylophone, you guys. And then just the whole cabinet goes chunk and knife right through his hand.
And like sticks his hand to the top of the cabinet. And he's like obviously screaming in like pain, but he's like, no. Look at what's happening. The blood isn't dripping down. It's being sucked up into the cabinet. And I love this because it's like, again, this is like in other horror movies, it would be like 1, 2, 3. What's in the thing? Monster. This is more like slow, creaky open. And then it just sort of moves over.
Like blood sucking is like, shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah.
It's so terrifying and weird and not something I've seen before. And it's so unexpected, like that your brain just kind of glitches and you're like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's and also, yeah, you can hear the suckling sound of the thing that wants to drink the blood. And this is where like you have to kind of this is where I started thinking about what we do in Welcome to Night Vale, Cecil, which is that you can just kind of make cool things that are creepy and fun or funny and whatever, but it doesn't all have to tie together to some grand narrative. And in this movie, I don't know, we've got some stuff from Albrecht of like, imagine wedges of an orange and the worlds bleed together. And and then some of these monsters are like, I want to suck your blood. Some of these monsters just want to like stand around and do nothing and whatever. And he's like, oh, it's sucking my blood. Also, it just likes to levitate things. Like in the background, there's like a lamp and an alarm
Just crawling up a
clock.
wall. Yeah. My favorite part is when Yano is like, I have a heart condition. I don't think I'm cut out for this
Oh
work.
yeah,
I
Funes.
gotta
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
wait,
Oh,
Funes, sorry.
Funes.
Yeah.
When
Yeah, yeah,
Funes,
yeah.
and he's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And Rosenstock is like, hey, I know I just had like a knife in my hand and we just chased that thing out of the kitchen. You want to see something really scary? I was like, dude.
The
He's like, I think I
glee.
trapped it. I think I trapped it under the bed. Do you want to see? And like Funes is like this poor man.
Yeah.
He is like 1 foot out the door, and Rosenstock is like, "Hey, do you want to see something really, really creepy?" The answer is
With
no.
just
No.
so much glee. It's the amount of joy of which like he expressed while saying that is
Yeah,
Yeah.
very unpleasant.
I remember several years ago being at a friend's house for a party, and it was like not a close friend. It was just like people going over. It's a bunch of people I kind of knew. And then I ended up in a corner in a conversation with a couple people I didn't know that well, and I wasn't really having that great of a time with. And then I could see throughout the evening all of my people I really wanted to hang out with and talk to were leaving the party. And
Mm,
I just could not bring myself to say, and I know there are techniques to be like, I'm gonna get another drink. You want one? Something like that. I just was unable to like navigate my way out of this conversation. And before I knew it, there's like 4 people left, and it's the host and me and these 2 other people. And I'm like, oh, my worst nightmare. Like, and that's what
Ugh.
Funes finds himself in. He
yeah,
just cannot
Yes.
get out of a conversation to leave
Your
and go home.
your politeness.
Yes.
You were thwarted and
Yes.
betrayed by your own politeness. You
Mhm.
put yourself in a horrible situation because you were being scared of being rude.
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. Or you just never got that opening. You're like, man,
Or
I
you
know I
yeah.
should leave.
I
But you never got that clear coda of the evening to be
yep.
like, well, now is the time to say my goodbyes. Goodbye,
Oh,
haunted neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
I've been there. I'm not criticizing Jeffrey. I have very much been the person that someone just decides like, you're my new best friend at this party and I'm emotionally dumping everything on you. And I'm like, oh, I look like an asshole if I try to leave.
Yep.
Shit. What
I
was
have
the other one
literally
you were?
left parties via fire escape before because I was like, if I go back inside, I'm gonna have to walk past a bunch of people that are gonna be like, "Are you leaving? You got your
Uh-huh.
coat on," or I could just sneak out the back way.
Yeah.
That's more me though.
Well, he
Yeah.
does get out of there and he goes to find Hano, and Hano, who has been hearing voicemail messages for
Oh my
Alicia that
god.
are like progressively from her friend
Yeah.
Sarah, who is like,
Like your kid, like my kid left his backpack there. What the fuck is going on?
I haven't heard from
He's got
you in days. What's happening?
video footage of your ex-boyfriend doing some crazy shit with your kid's
Uh-huh.
body. But I think, Jen, this is the jump scare that you were talking about, where it's like he calls him on the phone. He's like, "Hey, are you in the kitchen right now?"
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
calls Funes in the
"Yes."
Funes calls Hano, and Hano can see
Yes.
into the other house.
And he's
Yeah.
like, "Where in the house are you?" He's like, "I'm in the kitchen." He's like, "Because there is somebody in the living room." But it's like when I stand here, I can see it. And when I stand here, it disappears. Let's do this a few more times. Here, no monster, monster, no monster, monster. Like one of those, like maybe if I cross my eyes and like, one of those like invisible, what are they called? Like the things where like it looks
Magic
all,
eye?
Oh, the
yes, it's like a
magic
magic
eye.
guy
Yeah.
painting. Yes. And then it turns into a jump scare where that thing is right the fuck up close.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Not the same one, but that is another one that did get me because that's the one where Yano like appears in the window and you're like,
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good jump scare. It's very much like your eye doctor being like,
Yes.
1
Yes.
or
Yeah.
2?
1
2.
or 2.
Okay, 2
Monster?
or 3,
No monster.
which is
Yes.
yeah,
Which is
and
more clear.
yes. Monster? No monster. So then one of the in that house we see Hano staring at like the hutch, right? Like the curio cabinet filled with dishes with all these like really beautiful, like cordials, green glass cordials. I was like, oh, I would like those. I just got a new bar cart at my apartment. I would like those glasses. Um, I would not like them shattered and driven into my eyes, like is what's
Yeah.
about to happen to him. This happens
I
off screen, but that's essentially how he meets his end.
I want to say thank you
Hmm.
for bringing up those bar glasses.
Uh
Because if you didn't, I was going to.
huh.
My entire the minute they show this beautiful green bar glasses, I was like, why you gotta fuck those up? Like
Yeah.
it was
No.
so
You're
beautiful.
like,
Like
those
I
are
knew
so
I was like,
nice.
please don't break. Oh man.
It's
Couldn't have you
so
bought some uglier, cheaper glasses
yeah.
to shatter art department? Like I would have bought those. I seriously was very upset
I just think like
about those
I think a
glasses.
dream of mine it would be to own a bungalow in Palm Springs and to have that mid-century modern
Just like go
hutch
full.
filled
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
those glasses. I mean,
But the
amazing.
good mid-century modern, not the
Yeah.
beige blah shit
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, like
Yeah.
classic
is
real
happening now.
mid-century modern. I'm not talking about like a West Elm,
Yeah.
Version.
neo-modern sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that
Like the good bar cart, the hi-fi record player
Hmm.
with like the
yes.
built-in speakers into the credenza kind of
Yeah, my
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
grandmother had that and had these stunning milk glass bar set,
Oof.
Mm.
like pitcher and glasses that ended up getting destroyed in a move, which is like
Ah.
Boo.
crushing.
Thankfully, not by ghosts, not by
Not
demons.
by
Yes.
ghosts, just by incompetent hands.
Yes.
I you know, I will say one of the things about the demon in this, or the spooky in this movie, is like bodies fitting into spaces that bodies should not fit
Ugh.
into. Like
Hmm.
the impossible fold. Like we get that with a bit of the death of the doctor in her neck, just like going clean sideways. The thing under the bed is like you can see its feet and its head as if it's just been like folded in half. The guy inside the teeny tiny bar cart, you're like, I don't think a grown ass man is going to fit in there. But you know what? If you fold him up origami style,
Yeah.
he does.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's
And like,
why your suitcase you can fit more stuff in on your trip home because
yeah.
you don't have to fold your socks or anything like that. Like
Yeah.
nothing has to like you can just jam it tight as you want.
Yeah, I know. Just
Yeah.
shove it in there.
I don't. I can't remember what order all the death of mayhem occurs. But when Albrecht is the woman,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? Okay, that's what I thought. Right after it says when Albrecht, like, oh, is there anything we can do? She says no, and then that moment that you just alluded
Mhm.
to, where
Mm-hmm.
her head just gets smacked
Yeah.
into the wall, is one of the most unexpected, but I feel like dumb for not expecting it because obviously shit's gonna go down. It's like
Yeah.
the least expected yet expected
Yes.
scare.
Well, we think we're going to get answers from her. She's the like fount of reason in this, like she's the kind of leader of this gang of investigators.
She's the most knowledgeable.
And
Yeah.
when her last line is there anything we can do to stop it? No.
No.
And she like gets folded in half like a fucking waffle.
You know what it is? It's like, you know what it made me think of? It made me think of like what the special effects people on Nightmare on Elm Street wished the mother going through the window
Yes.
thing looked like. That's
Absolutely.
what in their dreams, that's what that looked like. Not like
Yeah.
an inflatable sex doll being pulled
Yes.
through.
Being like
Yes.
pulled through a door.
It is so upsetting. It is.
You know what? Now that you mentioned that, there are quite a few parallels between this film and the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like the idea of like the prone woman's body being like manipulated by invisible hands around the room, while a man is like, help, help, help! I'm not doing
Oh,
this.
Yeah.
the shower scene has hard Tina parallels.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's really
Totally.
that's kind of like like, and I feel like this didn't steal.
no, it's an
but like
homage.
and it's not like
It feels like a nod.
Mhm.
like a nod or an homage, but also even more so, like this movie is its own thing. you would never think like, oh my gosh, this is totally a Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mhm.
Wink.
But it
No.
feels inspired by that because it's
Yeah.
this one is dealing with there's like a thin dividing line between dimensions, and that's what's bleeding
Yeah.
through, which can actually it's sort of like liminal space between being awake and being in
Yeah.
dreamland, right? And
Yeah.
so similar sort of vibes in those two
Also
things.
suburban, like
Yeah.
very much like
Yep.
it's not the country, it's not
Suburban nightmare.
rural, it's not
Yep.
the city. It's
Mhm.
like you know your neighbors, but also do you know your neighbors?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay, so we found we found Ano all folded up and an
Oh my
eyes
God.
filled with beautiful, beautiful cordial glasses, which have now been smashed into his eye socket. And then we have gone to Funes has gone over to see Dr. Albrecht, who is so calmly sitting by this crescent shaped hole in the wall.
That
And
keeps
as
getting
they're
bigger and bigger.
and as she, she kind of gives him the like, he says, I found Hano needs our help. He's
Yeah.
in bad shape. And she says, not everything you see is real. Also,
Fucked up.
you got blood on you? You should wash your hands, but don't use the tap water. You didn't use tap water, right? Um, and then
So I feel like this is information that should have been shared
Oh,
like
Yes. Yes.
maybe hours ago, maybe when you first met.
This is
See-
where I'm like, these three seem very competent in this movie. However,
Mhm.
the fact that they're relying on like telecommunications between them that clearly this monster has power over.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, what if we just set our watches and be like, every 45 minutes, we're going to have a check-in in which all of us walk outside and be like, anything over there? Anything over there? No, no.
Yeah.
Oh, you're having demon activity?
Very poor planning.
Yes. They are all
Very
being
poor.
very individualistic and not
Yeah.
actually teaming up in
Yes.
any form or
Yes.
fashion whatsoever.
Yeah.
Also, Funes is like, when he crossed the street to go see the other houses, he starts having a heart attack. Like he
Yeah.
starts panting and losing his breath, his strength. He's holding his chest, but he's still fighting through to go help these people. And I'm like, you should have long ago driven yourself to the hospital. I'm sorry,
You're done.
sir.
Tap out.
You're
Tap
helping
Tap out, man.
nobody.
No.
one is. You're doing no good here, sir.
No, absolutely
we
not.
We do not need your white knightism.
Mm-mm.
But I love it. He tries to leave the party, but he's interrupted because we get Alicia
Yes.
comes back.
Well,
And
real
she
quick.
is pissed.
Oh, yeah. And before that, we do have that weird thing when Dr. Albrecht's head gets suddenly snapped, creepy, crawly arm comes out of
Yeah.
the wall, just
Fleshlight.
twists her head.
Fleshlight comes out of the wall.
Fleshlight, yeah. I mean, this one is like the super boss monster of the other weird fleshlight looking ones. But it starts crawling toward Funes, who is now collapsed again on the floor, clutching his chest, having a hard time breathing.
It's just like goes right past him, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like eyeing him, but it never does anything. So I'm very confused what these monsters want, because
I think they just want to rearrange their feng shui. They just want to rearrange your furniture.
it is the ultimate in horror movie villains act like they get paid by the hour, not by the kill, and that's the thing. And
I just want to click up. I just want to click and touch your face.
Yes, I just think about all of the day jobs I've had where I have pretended to be working on a Microsoft Word document, but I'm actually just working on a play for the Neo-Futurists, something like that. Yeah.
I kind of love how it keeps you on your toes, though.
Yes.
Because you're like, well, you don't know if they're gonna kill every single person they come across. Like you're really like,
maybe it's full from the last one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Maybe it just wants to put all your chairs on the ceiling. I don't know.
Maybe it's just a chaos demon. Maybe
Yeah.
it just wants to cause mayhem for no reason.
Yeah.
But it does seem to have I think I don't remember who said it, but the one who was like, when you kind of leave them alone and let them be creepy as fuck, they'll stand over you and watch you sleep. They'll crawl right past you when you're having a heart attack on the floor. It's when you start poking and prodding it, that's when it fights back.
That was Hano's whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now Alicia comes home. She is, and her ex-boyfriend is
Yeah.
on the
Is like
floor in the
having a heart
throes of
attack.
his heart attack.
It's like, baby, I thought I could fix it, but I can't fix it.
And
You got to get me out of here.
she is unhappy with him because she's like, you told me that I was crazy for believing in this stuff that I was trying to tell people was happening. You made me look like an absolute freak show to all of my friends. And also, I saw a video of what you did with my child's body. You knew that there was freaky shit and you carried on with it. And yeah, you covered his grave in concrete. Why would you do that? He's like, just take me to the hospital. And she does, but she does not help him to that car at all.
No, she has
Like,
already left. Like
mhm.
this actually, the shot was a little confusing at first because it's just
Yeah.
Funes leaving the house. I was like, is she gonna follow him? Oh no, she's already out there. She's
Yeah.
like, here, hop in. And then he sees she has already preloaded
Mm-hmm.
the corpse child into the back seat.
Sure
Like,
has.
Oh
oh,
no.
you thought you were gonna separate me from my kid? No,
No.
he's coming with us. He is buckled into his car seat back there.
And just the realization that like
Mhm.
immediately just like suffocates Funes was just like, oh fuck. Like
Mm-hmm.
nope.
Yep, nope.
Nope.
He's gone to the dark
Nope.
side.
Nope. Never
He
mind.
he makes the decision to like, you know what? I'll drive myself. I'm good.
Yeah,
I've got my car
I'm gonna
here.
take
I think
another
I'm
car.
okay. Yeah.
I'll walk. It'll be all right.
When he gets into his car, before he drives off, what is this freaky ass butt monster that comes at his
That's
window?
No,
the
this
doctor.
is
That's
the
Dr.
doctor.
That's the
Rosenstock.
doctor.
Yeah, watch it again. It's
Ta-
terrifying. It's the scariest part. It's her neck completely like
Bent backwards.
bent backwards. So
Oh,
it's her head is like dangling like this,
Yeah,
okay.
and she's running at it's the
but like
worst.
animated. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I-
horrible.
I could not process what was happening on my okay. Okay.
Again,
Now that you've told me, I will never watch that
folded
again.
like a pancake.
I had
Folded
to,
up
it
like a
didn't
pancake.
truly register, I think, until the second
Yeah.
time I watched it. So this third time I was like, oh right, oh no. Yeah.
And she's talking to him. She's like, and essentially she
Wailing.
says, "You can still save us. We're like,
Oh,
we're
yes,
still
right.
conscious inside
You can still
these
help us.
dead
Yeah.
bodies. You can still help us." And like, God, I mean, honestly, Funes is like, "Fuck no, ma'am. I am out. I am goodbye."
First smart instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's an interesting clue to this under unlocking like what the scare in this movie is, that it's like,
Yeah.
like just because you're dead, like the boy, like Yano is like, doesn't mean you're malevolent. It's almost like you're being puppeted by this big bad,
Yeah.
fleshy looking creature that maybe lives in mold and water. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he drives away and then he stops for a moment and radios into. He gets radio calls from Officer Guzman from Enrique.
Oh my God.
Who is
I
like,
thought this is so stressful to me. This like, we've been trying you all day. We had a woman here. I'm gonna go check out this investigation site. Yo, this site is creepy as fuck. What should I do here? I'm like, I think your friend is already, he might be a goner, but he's not. He actually is like, oh, you want me to get out of here? Goodbye. Nope, dude. I see somebody. No, you don't want me to.
Your friend
Okay.
Hano's here. He's acting real weird. Oh, you want me to leave? Okay, copy. All right, I'm gone.
Copy that. Back to the station.
He protests for a second, just a second, and then is like, okay, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yes, sir.
Thank God.
That is how you survive a horror movie.
That is exactly how you survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, whether or not what's happening is real or not, that person's panic is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to be around there regardless.
Yeah.
It's nothing good.
Funes says, all right, I have an idea. And so he drives back to the neighborhood, but not before stopping off at a pilot station, at a
I know,
Bucky's,
right?
something, and he grabs a few 5-gallon tankards of gasoline and he douses these houses, and his plan is to light it all on fire, but not before we get a couple quick little scares, because we
Yeah.
go into Alicia's house. He doesn't notice at first, but we certainly see in the background that she is just hanging.
She is hung
She is
herself.
hung in the hallway. And inside the child's room, there's that fucking zombie child just boom out of nowhere.
But like also kind
That's
of
the one I was
that's
talking
yeah.
about.
Like where
That
he's like in his
thing
room and
that,
he's
like,
like
all of a
shuts
sudden
the
came to
door.
the door, like,
Stop investigating the house you're gonna burn down. Like
for real.
Don't even burn it down. Just keep driving. Like, go to Medellin. I don't know. Get up to Mexico. There's some really beautiful places all throughout the
Well, I
Western
was
He
thinking,
felt
Hemisphere.
like
guilty.
you need to go.
Bent neck
Oh yeah. Oh
doctor
no.
made, like, he felt like he had to white knight it.
Yeah.
Like my thought was go back to the police precinct, get like what you need witnesses.
Yes.
Yeah.
You need witnesses to corroborate, that's the right word, your
Yeah.
story, that there is fucked up shit going on here that is A, not your fault, B, not something that just one person can like run in and save. The experts are dead. You need like a mob. Honestly, you need mob justice right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need backup. There's a
Yeah.
reason
Yeah.
officers call for backup in any type of iffy situation. Okay.
But he's burning the shit down regardless.
He burns the shit. It's funny because like he can't get the matches lit. And it's when
yeah.
Pano pops up and is like, hey man, look at my fucking eyes.
Oh
It's
my
crazy,
God.
right? That the fire just kind of, he fires his gun at Hano, and I can't tell if the fire just starts on its own or if the gun starts.
I think
the
he
fire.
fires it at the ground where the gasoline is, and like the spark sets the thing ablaze, because like the ghost of Yano is trying to stop him from, again, back to what like the doctor, the pancake zombie doctor said, we're semi-conscious even though we are deceased. We're conscious inside these bodies. You can still save us. So I think Yano is trying to like stop him from destroying it. But they're also not giving a lot of clues as to how to reverse this process.
No. Okay. Now we cut back to the psych ward. We're back to Juan, and he's got a new panel of people in front of him. And these are actual police investigators. And so we realize that now they are investigating the death of the paranormal investigators. And they're like, look, you signed over things that let them stay at your house. Also, tell us about Funes. Like, Officer Guzman here witnessed Funes setting your house on fire, and there were people inside. Funes is a fugitive, and we believe he might be involved in your wife's death. So we're not interested in the supernatural anymore. We are 100% like,
like we're again police procedural. Oh, Jen, you're on mute.
Yeah, because we lost God darn it. My train of thought. I'm sorry.
It's all right. We lost Rosenstock, however.
Sorry, what were we my brain.
Well,
gosh darn it.
No, it's we're talking about like we've lost our investigators, right?
Yeah, all three of them are gone.
All three of them are gone. We've got
Alicia's gone. The boy is gone.
Yeah.
Right. They're all gone. So the police are just gonna police. Like the police can only go by what they believe is logical.
Yes.
Which is,
and they have no evidence of anything unusual or supernatural. They just now have dead bodies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, everything's burned down now, and we've got Funes who is acting crazy because we actually have a police officer who witnessed this man burning a fucking house down that was
and
part
is now
of
a fugitive.
Yeah.
That whole thing of like, if you weren't guilty, why did you run?
Yeah.
Oh, it's because these houses are haunted as fuck. Oh, that's why you ran.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I gotta say, Juan and his also very cute with his very
Mhm.
cute beard. This is like just the look of just tiredness on his face of oh, you have three more officials coming to talk to me. Okay. But he gets the last laugh when he
Oh,
he just looks over them. He's like, do you see that guy over there? Is he with you?
Yeah.
oh no.
And they keep turning around and there's nothing back there. I love that Juan is going full like, I'm telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. Like he
Yeah, and
goes, yeah,
he's also like, he's not calm, but he's not freaking out. It's
Yeah.
that level
no,
of like, just sort of like, oh, well, this is happening.
It's almost scientific. It's like a
Yeah.
temperature change or oh, the
Huh.
wind shifted.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's a person back there. Is he with you guys? No.
yeah.
Huh.
And
And then a chair moves.
Yeah, or no, and he said, and then he was like, he came with you, or
Yes.
something like
yeah,
that.
and he describes him as the tall American, right? He describes
Yeah.
him and his face looks burned, which sort of
Yes.
implies that I think Funes burnt the whole neighborhood down. And
I
actually,
think so.
Rosenstock might not have been killed by the monsters. He might have been
No.
killed by Funes,
Yeah.
burning
Yeah.
that neighborhood down.
I think he was just kind of controlled by them in a bit, but I don't
Yeah.
think he was dead yet. Yeah.
No. And it could be argued that none of them were actually dead. That actually
That it was I thought about that, like, what if this is all like hallucinations?
yeah.
You know? Like what if, because this whole
Yes.
idea of like Funes is like being controlled by his fear, like the doctor getting folded in half, like all this shit is
Yeah.
totally in his own head. And
Yeah.
then he just started burning shit down and ran
Yeah.
away.
And the last shot of this movie is him pointing out the invisible man behind them, whom we never see either. The last thing we see is a chair just flies right at the fucking camera. Boom, the end. So silly and so effective.
I love it though.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love a good movie like this.
Yeah.
I love a good paranormal, demony sort of like other worlds,
Yeah.
magical realism ghost tale. I love this shit.
It's really fun. And it is a movie that seems to be having fun. Like the ending tells you,
Oh, yeah,
ending,
yeah,
the
yeah.
chair flying right at the camera is like, this was fun, right? We had a good time.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also like genuinely terrifying.
It's
Like,
super
for sure.
scary.
but that last bit gives you the slight break you needed. 'Cause
Yes.
it's like
Mhm.
it's the silly chair scare,
Yeah.
and it allows you to.
It's a
kinda
little bit
end with going
Anaconda.
like, ah,
Yeah.
oh,
Anaconda.
okay, that's over.
Yeah.
I thought about Malignant as well. Like it's just,
Yes.
yeah, it just feels a little bit pulpy. It's fun.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
speaking of fun, let's figure out what movie we are going to watch next.
We got to rate this. We got to rate this
Oh yeah,
movie
oh, I'm so
first.
sorry.
We gotta rate
Oh,
this.
I forget about.
Also,
Yeah.
it occurred to me what actor the name of the actor was that
yes,
he
who's
looks
that?
like. It came into my brain. Tom Sizemore.
Oh,
Oh,
of
yeah,
course.
okay.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
looks like Tom Sizemore.
I can totally see that. Yes.
Like he looks a lot like a Latina Tom Sizemore.
Yeah.
I kept thinking about it, and my brain was like Tom, and I just
Oh.
kept being like Tom
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 Skerritt?
S. Tom Sizemore.
Tom
Like
Skerritt,
it's just
yeah.
like
Tom Sizemore. R.I.P.
Yeah.
All right. Let us
Anyway.
rate this movie, and then we'll figure
Yay.
out what we're gonna watch next. I'll start with Approachability. I always give these movies a scale of 1 to 10 of how approachable is it if you are horror film averse. 1 being don't go near, and 10 being that's easy goings. Listen, one, don't watch this movie if you are horror averse. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope you will become less horror averse like I have and make your way to this movie because it's really fun to be scared shitless. It's great. It's got a ton of blood and gore. It's got a lot of tragedy. It's got a lot of jump scares. It's got a child death. It's got some like creative gore and some just creepy shit. Like
Yeah.
just shit happening in
Moody.
the background. Ugh.
Yeah.
Also, trigger warning for suicide and that sort of thing too. So, yeah, that's where it is. There's a 1 for approachability. Cecil, what about you as a horror film?
As a horror film of the canon of horror films, this one's pretty dope, I gotta say. It was really fun getting to see a movie made in the last 5 years that is um confident in its filmmaking. First off, like the acting is great, the script is great, the locate, like it's a, it's not a huge budget film, but it uses the location, it uses the suburban scare to the best of its ability. um it's kind of nice watching a monster movie that doesn't rely on creaky old tropes like
Mm-hmm.
bring me a young priest and an old priest kind of shit. um and also like doesn't really spoon feed you all the answers. So for that, I gotta say, Terrified, that's like a 9. That
Mm-hmm.
is 9 out of 10 9-foot tall fleshlights hiding in her closet.
Wait, do you
um,
mean that as an approachability though?
No,
no,
that's in
just
like
as a
in
horror
like
film.
out of all the horror films, like where does it fall in the horror film world?
Mm-hmm.
Like this one's pretty tops.
Yeah. Yeah. Cecil
No,
always rates it as just as a horror film in general,
I, I,
regardless of
for, I,
approachability.
With like
I
Monster of
forgot.
God flats being 1 and like The Shining being a 10, that kind of
Mhm,
thing.
mhm.
I forgot that y'all had different scales.
We do. I sometimes forget to reset that too. Jen, do you have anything you would like to rate this movie on?
Oh,
Um,
jeez.
glassware, quality of glassware in this
Yes.
film.
Oh my God.
Pendulum
Yeah.
use of pendulums.
Oh,
Oh,
yes, technology, ghost hunting technology.
go on. Yeah, on beautiful brass, ghost tinker first. This movie, like, a ditto everything both of you just said.
Hmm.
Um, and it is also beautifully shot. It is a gorgeously made movie
Hmm.
that understands how you can have beauty in horror. Um, and not in a exploitative way, but just in a usage of color and shots and light, you can elicit just very beautiful shots within this genre.
Yeah.
And this one is gorgeously made. Just, oh, but also, just like we were saying, its namesake
It
terrifying. It's
hits right at that.
Yeah.
absolutely, it's upsetting, but there is that lick of fun.
Uh, and I
I will
highly,
say,
go ahead.
I'll say it's a 1 on approachability. I
Mhm.
agree with you, hands down. Jeffrey, this is only for those who are ready
Yep.
to be not okay,
Hmm.
possibly, potentially, after watching this movie. But it's like, no, it gets a 10 out of 10 for me. It's like
Yeah.
it's like perfection on Cecil's scale. So it's like the extremes on both. Like,
Yeah.
one in like, stay away if this isn't your bag. Then if this is your bag, like,
Yeah.
It delivers.
10 out of 10. It is practically perfect. I don't have any complaints really with this movie.
Well, let's
Uh
figure out what we're gonna watch next. Let's
Ooh.
hopefully get something just as fun and 10 out of 10 perfect. I've got a style die. Cecil, you have a scare die. We'll roll these two dice up and sort of see what movie fits those two things. So, Cecil, on your scare die, if you roll a 1, our next movie scare is conspiracy cult. Something about a mass of people is the scare. 2, magic with a K. 3, games, mind games, whatever. Killer games. If you roll a 4, it's zombie. 5, it's an animal. 6 is wild card, whatever scare we want. What you got, Cecil?
Ooh.
Oop, off the table.
Mm-mm.
That's a 1.
We're going right to that conspiracy cult. All
I
right,
do
so
love a good
Conspiracy cult.
conspiracy.
Okay.
we're gonna match your conspiracy slash cult, whatever, with the style I roll. If I roll a 1, it's Asian horror. 2, something pre 1950s. 3, something based on a book. 4, a bottle movie. 5, something psychological horror, maybe something kind of bloodless, just more spooky, creepy. Or 6, opposite of that, something just gloopy, gloppy, just a messy ass fucking movie. So what do we got? I got a 2, pre 1950s conspiracy cult.
Oh, I was secretly hoping that this was the role because
Awesome.
we've got some
Ooh.
good ones here.
Okay. So, we've got a couple places we were going to pull some ideas for what matches conspiracy cult and pre-1950s. One, Cecil and I already wrote down a few ideas that would meet this, and we also sought out uh, advice from our followers on Letterboxd as well, so we can check with them. And we have Jen Brown with us, who might actually have some new ideas to throw in there too. So, Cecil, tell us
Yeah.
about these movies that we wrote down.
Okay, so the first one we put on there is Freaks from 1932, Todd Browning classic, in which a circus beautiful trapeze artist agrees to marry the leader of a sideshow performers, but his deformed friends discover she's only marrying him for his inheritance. This movie is quite the classic. Not much more to say about that. It's a great ride.
Mm-hmm. I've
We also
seen it.
have, yeah, we also have Rope from 1948. This is Alfred Hitchcock. This is loosely based on the Leopold and Loeb case, in which two young men kill somebody and then, like, essentially they read too much Nietzsche and think they're Superman and they're better than everybody else, and they kill somebody. And in this one, James Stewart investigates. And then also we put this one on here. This is one that I've not seen, that I have been really curious about, called The Seventh Victim, 1943. A woman in search of her missing sister uncovers a satanic cult in Greenwich Village
Woo!
that could have something to do with her sister's disappearance. But in like, it's interesting because like that last movie, in an era in which a lot of horror films were being made about like giant crabs, giant ants, giant monsters
Uh-huh.
from, outer space, The Seventh Victim is like one of the only, like, the call is coming from inside the house kind of, like the society is the scare. So I don't
Yep.
know. Those are the three we put on there. But we've got
Yes.
some really good recommendations from our letterboxed followers as well.
Yeah. What do we have here? Brave Crab always has some great ideas. This is a Fritz Lang movie, right? The Testament of Dr. Mabuse. Is it Mabusa?
I
Or
don't
is
know.
it Mabuse? Anyways, M-A-B-U.
Mabuse,
Um,
Mabuse.
After a
I don't.
detective is assaulted by thugs and placed in an asylum run by Professor Baum, he observes the professor's preoccupation with another patient, the criminal genius Dr. Mabuse, the hypnotist. This sounds really fun. I like a good asylum thriller sort of bit. I like a Fritz Lang movie. That sounds
Yeah.
really great.
Yeah.
Black Cat, 1934. This comes from C. Fletcher of 82. It's a pre-code film directed by Edgar Ulmer. It's Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff. The latter of which is a cult. Boris Karloff plays a cult leader, so truly
I
a
don't
cult.
think I've seen this one, but it's definitely been like on my list of like older films pre-code, like back when you could kind of say some racy things and get away
Uh-huh.
with it before Hollywood got all conservative.
Katie gives us a couple ones that look like are not that are going to be available in other like non-mainstream streaming sources. One is Whistling in the Dark from 1941, and maybe the best title we've heard on this show, which is Seven Footprints to Satan, 1929.
Oh my God. I'm looking this up right now.
What?
Seven Footprints to Satan is incredible.
Okay, Seven Footprints of Satan, 1929. An uncle helps a young woman permanently quench her wealthy beau's expensive thirst for adventure. That sounds vague. Um,
Yeah.
it's a part sound talkie American film directed by Danish filmmaker Benjamin Christensen. This looks really interesting. It's kind of yeah, like this couple goes on an adventure around the world and they encounter a witch, a dwarf, a gorilla, a strange shaggy creature called the spider, and then
Okay.
they meet Satan himself. This looks wild.
Huh.
Interesting. All right. Well, we've got a cult. We've got pre 1950s. That does sound really fascinating. Weaponized
Yeah.
Toaster seconds the Black Cat, which is the Karloff Lugosi film. Ganymede's Cup gives us Black Moon, 1934, American pre-code horror. A woman returning to her island birthplace finds herself drawn to a voodoo cult.
Uh-oh.
I bet that is going to be handled sensitively.
I was just
Mhm.
gonna
Uh-huh.
say
Yeah.
that
Let's
has the potential for.
Mhm. For
there's
we'll learn a
some
lot about the
questionable
culture.
racial politics. Yeah.
Okay, a lot, but this is also, I believe, they say, yeah, it's Fay Wray and Jack Holt are in that, so that sounds really, it does sound like a really good movie.
Yeah.
Jen, I don't know if how far your horror movie knowledge and loves go back to pre-1950s, but do you have any other ones that you feel like we might have missed?
Man, it's hard because it goes back, but it's not like I'm not an expert. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like it's hard to
Neither are we.
pinpoint that far back.
yeah,
Like we're getting into
and
some obscure shit here.
Uh-huh.
Freaks like would have been my like immediate like, oh yeah, Freaks.
Yeah.
Like that's one of my favorites. And some of the other ones that were mentioned by other people were brought up too, like Black Cat.
Mm-hmm.
I could think of a lot of pre 50s, but the cult aspect was. Oh, wait. Hold on. There was one I wanted to look up the year of. Hold on. That's to see if it qualified because I won't bring it up otherwise.
No.
It is. Nope. Never mind.
Mm.
Nope.
Nope.
It was made in the 70s. Accident.
Early 60s. Early
Okay.
Yeah.
60s.
That's no, it's like a weird time period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like especially for this sort of man,
Okay.
this is tough.
There
I mean,
are some good options though. A lot of those sound great.
oh, Black Cat definitely deals with a cult. So does
Yeah.
the seven steps to Satan or
Seventh.
whatever.
Oh
Seven
yeah. Yeah.
footsteps to Satan has a
That one
cult
looks a
thing.
little crazy.
Yeah.
That would like
Black
the
Cat
seventh
is
victim is the seventh victim is actually about a cult.
right.
Like a cult of witches living in Greenwich Village that like are kidnapping people.
Yes. Freaks is kind of a conspiracy, although the conspiracy is of the freaks. Like the freaks work together to
Yeah.
fight this lady.
Yeah. So it's like
Well,
kind of
but
like a good cult.
Yeah.
But yes, but she was also cons- having a conspiracy against them and using them.
Yes.
So it's a
Yeah.
revenge cult type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
And it's truly brilliant. I love Freaks.
Jeffrey,
Okay.
have you seen Freaks?
I've never seen Freaks. I've never seen any of these movies.
I feel
So,
like that's the move.
you think Freaks over Seventh Victim?
I think so. I mean, Jen, your eyes lit up, and I always love to take our recommendations off the guest.
Yeah.
It's a classic. This is like this like is under like horror homework
Yeah.
quintessentials here.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
good because I think it's always good to hit the horror essentials.
I used to be part of this official unofficial group with my friends called the Voyeur Warriors, where we like would program different film themed nights at each other's houses and like do double features.
Oh
and
hell
like,
yeah!
each one of us had a different like officer name. Mine was Liza Minnelli. And we do like a projector screen in the backyard and themed food and like all this. It was really fun. When you're in your 20s and you're like,
Yeah, when you have energy and yeah,
right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's perfect time. But Freaks, I did a double feature. One of my choices when it was my turn to host is I did a double feature of Freaks and Ed Wood.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay, yeah. Interesting.
Which paired really nicely together. And it was
Well, it'll be perfect because we get a horror movie essential viewing in Freaks for our 200th episode.
Lovely.
Next week's episode is our 200th.
Google gobble, one of us.
One of us.
that is
Perfect. That's so
Perfect.
good.
200th episode. We got a classic, a much
That's
beloved
cute.
classic in here.
That's real cute.
Well, great. Well, thank you all for listening, and thank you, Cecil, for talking with me, and thank you, Jen Brown, for joining us once again. Jen, where can people find you and your work in this world?
Junie, settle.
Where can people find
Okay,
Juniper in this
sorry.
world?
Sleeping on a couch.
Mm-hmm.
So at my website, I need to update it, but because I'm moving, I'm actually gonna while moving, you don't really do much except for be in a car or sit, there's a lot of downtime. And I'm gonna update my website with all the new things that I've been doing. But brownrecluseproductions.com.
Mm-hmm.
My drag stuff is Frida Ann Slip. I don't remember when this episode is coming out.
It's gonna be out on February 13th.
February 13th. Okay, so those shows will be over. But yeah, by the time this episode comes out, I should have updated the website, so it should have all my new videos and potential new dates, performance dates for Frida in Philly. And my old, you can also still access my first 4 episodes of my old TV show, Genre Graveyard, through my website as well, and watch those for free. So
Yay! Well, if y'all have thoughts on Terrified or ideas for other movies that would have been good pre-1950s conspiracy cult movies, let us know on Instagram at randomhorror9 or over on Patreon, where we have public discussion threads for each episode, and you do not have to be a paying member to participate in those. And watch Freaks 1932 with us this week, and come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no one destroying your beautiful mid-century barware or nothing. Boo.
Boo.
boo.